Story time about how my high school principal tried to date me after I graduated. TW, if you think this is gross, don't watch. And disclaimers is not my story time. It's been 10 years since this happened, but when I was in high school, I was really popular. I was in the cheerleading squad, the badminton team, the volleyball team, and drama club. All the teachers knew me and I got along with almost all the students. I never had any problems with girls or guys. My high school principal was a huge history buff, and so was I. One day I went to his office and asked him if I could start a history club. He was really impressed by this and he said yes. I started asking students if they wanted to join, and mostly it was only boys. And these were the boys that I knew had a crush on me, but I made a promise to my parents that I would focus solely on school and not boys. So that meant no boyfriends for me. And I was totally fine with that. I wasn't boy crazy or anything. I really just wanted to get into a good college and make my parents proud. After I formed the club, the principal asked me if he could sit in on some of the sessions. I said, of course. Our history club would get together every Wednesday, and he would always show up without fail. I mean, obviously, I thought that he was interested in history, and he just wanted to share this experience with us, but clearly I was wrong. After a few weeks, things were getting a little strange. When it was my turn to read, I would always notice him staring at me. And he also brought up the fact that there were only boys in the club. I explained to him that they probably just had a crush on me and that at least it was a way to get them into the club. He told me I needed to find girls because I was too much of a distraction for the boys. But the way that he said it just sounded like he was really jealous. I did my best to get girls in the club, but literally nobody wanted to join. After a few days, I realized that maybe the best thing for me was just to cancel the club. I was already in so many other clubs, and I didn't want to sacrifice my grades. I basically told the guys that we weren't going to have the club anymore, and they all said that was totally fine. But when I told the principal, he flipped out. He started yelling at me and told me that if I didn't keep the club going, that I would never make it in life. He said I wasn't being responsible and that I was letting down the club. So then I was basically forced into continuing the club. But then things got even stranger. He started showing up to every single get-together. And every time that it was over, he would ask me if he could walk me to my car. I mean, at first I thought he was just doing it so that I could be careful, I guess. But we were still on school property and I'm pretty sure nothing was gonna happen to me. That's when my principal started asking me if I was dating any boys or if I had any crushes on boys. I obviously felt very uncomfortable when he asked me this, so I simply answered no. Then he told me that I could be honest with him. That's when I told him that I made my parents a promise because I was so close to graduating high school and avoid any distractions like boys. That's when he said that I was an amazing woman and that he wished more of the female students were like me. I quickly got in my car and went home. By the way, I was 2 months away from graduating from high school. Now this is when things start to get really weird. I started seeing him around everywhere in school. Our school was pretty big, but I kept bumping into him everywhere. Every time I would see him, he would be like, ho, are you stalking me? I would laugh it off and continue walking. One day after history club, he asked me to come to his office with him. He said that he had a surprise for me. He took me to his office and gave me a book on history. I thanked him and tried to leave as quickly as possible, but then he said, don't you like it? So I stood there having to pretend that I was happy that he gave me this book, when in actuality, it made me really uncomfortable. That's when he said that he had seen me in the library reading a book on World War II, and that he just wanted to surprise me with the same book. So this was already letting me know two things. Number one, he's watching me around school and at the library, and number two, I'm not noticing when he's watching me. I was so creeped out, but I managed to keep my cool. I said thank you again and basically ran away. For the rest of that week, I tried to avoid him as much as I could. I didn't go anywhere near his office, and I avoided the library, which was one of my favorite places in the school. At this point, graduation was only a week away. I was totally wrapped up in my studies that I actually forgot about the principal. Until one day I get a friend request from him on Facebook. At first I thought it was weird, but then I accepted because I figured, well, I'm graduating, so I'm not really going to be seeing him anymore. 5 minutes after I accepted his friend request, I get this really long message from him praising me, saying all these great things about me. I didn't know how to respond, so I simply said thanks. Finally, the day of graduation came and I was forced to see him face to face. That's when he told me that he actually had another gift for me. That's when he hands me an envelope with a blank check. He had the biggest smile on his face. I look at it and tell him that I simply cannot accept it. That's when he gets really angry, snatches the check from me, and tells me that he'll see me later. After the graduation ceremony, I was so happy and I was with my family. That's when he walks up behind me and asks me to keep the check. My family is watching this whole thing go down, by the way. I look at him and say thank you, but no. He then introduces himself to my family. But of course, he doesn't bring up the whole check thing. We all say goodbye and my family and I go have dinner. That very night, he sends me a message on Facebook again, saying that he shouldn't have given me the check, and he felt like he had crossed the line. I actually felt really bad, so I replied asking him to not feel bad. A week later, I get a text message from him. He said that he took the liberty of looking up my phone number and that he actually really wanted to speak to me. He asked if we could meet up for a coffee, and I said yes, unfortunately. We meet up at the coffee shop, and as soon as we sit down, he starts to confess his feelings for me. He said that I was basically his dream girl and that all he wanted was a wife like me. And he also asked me if I would ever consider dating him. I was actually too stunned to speak. As soon as he realized I wasn't saying yes, he asked me not to say anything, got up and left. I ran home and told my parents everything. My parents were really angry. My dad went straight to the cops. The cops told my dad that they had complaints from other students. He apparently did the same thing to them and asked them out once they graduated. And guess what? One of them said yes. The cops even investigated him after.
I'm so frustrated, it's not even funny. Like, I've never been this mad at my dad in my life. So for my birthday, my boyfriend got me tickets to go to Las Vegas for a week, and I'm so excited. We leave in 2 days, this Friday. And my dad knew about this trip. He knew what day it was. He knew everything about this trip. He's known about this trip for months. Well, he just did something really selfish, and I'm like so mad. 3 days before I'm about to go on vacation, my dad went over to his friend's house, who he knows is sick. But he didn't care. He still went over to his friend's house, didn't tell me he was going to his friend's house who's sick, and then came back home, gave me a hug, we ate dinner together, and then today he came home early from work. I was like, why are you home early? And he was like, oh, I'm not feeling good. I've been throwing up all day. And I'm like, so why are you feeling sick? He then tells me it's because he went over to his friend's house yesterday who was sick and didn't tell me that he was sick. So now I'm praying that I don't get whatever he has, because if I get sick, I can't go on vacation. And I've been looking forward to this for a week. And my boyfriend put a lot of money into these plane tickets. And if I get sick and I can't go, bye-bye goes the money and bye-bye goes my vacation. And I'm really irritated also because my dad goes on vacations all the time. This man is always on vacation. He probably goes like 20 times a year. And every time before he goes on vacation, he always makes sure that I do not hang out with anybody sick. He makes sure I'm healthy, yada yada, because he doesn't want me to get him sick for his trip, because that would just be selfish if I got him sick. But the one time I'm going on vacation, he doesn't even think about, and he might get me sick now. Do you see the selfishness? I'm so irritated that he couldn't wait 2 days to go see his friend so that I was already in Vegas. But now I might get sick and I might not be able to go on my vacation. But oh God, if I did that to him, if I got him sick before his vacation, end of the world. End of the world. I would be grounded. I mean, there's been multiple times where it would be like a week before he was going on vacation, and like one of my friends would have a cold, and I wouldn't be allowed to see them because he didn't want to get sick. But when roles are reversed, it doesn't matter. So I'm like so irritated. Like, I'm smiling. I'm just like so irritated. Like, where's the common sense to not go to your friend's house who you know is sick before your daughter leaves for Vegas? Because if I can't go because I get sick, he's paying my boyfriend back for the plane ticket and he's buying us new ones. I don't care. It was selfish and you're gonna have to pay for it.
My 47 female life is destroyed and I am beyond devastated. My husband, 34 male, is having an affair with my son. A few months ago, I noticed a change in my husband. He stopped having sex, which was very odd for us. He also was more distant with affection and very secretive with his phone. And when I checked it, he had changed his passcode. So I checked his laptop and the same thing, change in password. We had always shared all that information, even when we changed it, so it didn't feel right. I started to feel like he was having an affair, and a coworker agreed that his actions seemed odd. She suggested I hide a camera at home, especially as I travel for work. After a lot of internal debate, I decided to do as she said, and bought a camera that I could watch through my phone as I prepared for a short business trip. I hid it in our living room at an angle that covered most of the room, but mainly aimed at the top of the door, so I could see if anyone picked him up or came in with him. When I checked it a few hours ago, I was horrified and devastated to see my husband kissing my son. I fucked up by insulting the one-legged girl I'm interested in. So, in these corona times, I'm bored out of my mind, so I downloaded a dating app. I find a girl I'm really into, and we connect on many things. She loves Star Wars, some games, and she even likes football, although she completely chose the wrong team to support. Anyhow, I'm a bit wary she might be a catfish, cause she's hot as hell. At least a 10, maybe more, while I'm a 5 on my best days. There are a lot of catfish on the site, so I ask her for a picture of her. She's understanding and we exchange some pics, nothing special. On one of the pics, I spot a prosthetic leg. Well, shit, she's probably a bit insecure about the whole thing. So, I decide I must tell her I noticed, but don't care about it. Yeah, I think most of you probably think I'm an idiot already, but don't put the popcorn away just yet. It's about to get worse. I haven't mentioned the prosthetic yet, but I'm looking for an opportunity. We're just throwing cheesy pickup lines at each other. I ask if she's ever been jailed for stealing hearts. She responds to that with a, "Do you think I'm a thief?" To which I respond, "I was thinking more of a pirate." I haven't had a response in 10 minutes.
watching. I love you guys so much. Please like and subscribe to see more great videos. See you again.